Faith is not meant to be passive. Faith is not meant to be a quiet, timid whisper in the dark of your struggles. Faith is a force, a dynamic power, an authority that has been placed inside every believer to speak to the heavens and the earth alike. Many spend their lives asking, hoping, and pleading for breakthroughs, for miracles, for resources, for opportunities, for finances. Yet they wonder why their prayers seem delayed or ineffective. The reason is not because God is unwilling to bless, nor because the universe is deaf, but because they are approaching their prayers from a position of weakness rather than a position of authority. There is a critical shift that must happen in your life, the shift from begging to commanding. Begging comes from a place of fear, scarcity, and uncertainty, but commanding flows from confidence, understanding, and alignment with the principles of spiritual authority. When you understand that you have been given dominion, you understand that your prayers are not suggestions, they are decrees that heaven is ready to honor. This is why it is not enough to simply ask for blessings. Asking positions you as a recipient waiting for mercy. Commanding positions you as a child of God, exercising the authority that has already been placed inside you. When you pray, your words carry weight. The Bible says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Your prayers are not empty words. They are seeds, seeds that when sown in faith, grow into tangible results in the natural world. But seeds only grow when planted with authority. Asking is like planting seeds without water or sunlight, hoping they will grow. Commanding is like planting seeds in fertile soil, watering them, and standing in confidence that they will grow to fullness. The spiritual law is that what you declare in faith, according to God's principles, must come to pass. Every believer has this power. It is a gift, an inheritance, and a responsibility. Yet so many fail to recognize it because they are content with timid prayers, whispered quietly in corners, never realizing that their words have the capacity to move mountains. Authority in prayer comes when you no longer approach God as though you are begging for a favor, but when you approach Him understanding that His Spirit within you is greater than any lack, any limitation, any problem, any enemy, or any barrier. The act of commanding in prayer is not arrogance, it is obedience. It is obedience to the principle that the kingdom of God is already established within you, that the power of God flows through you, and that the authority He has given you surpasses any limitation in your life. When you command, you align your will with God's will, and the universe, which was created by His word, begins to respond. Asking is uncertain, commanding is definite. Asking relies on hope, commanding relies on faith. Faith does not ask if it can, it declares what it will. The atmosphere responds to faith-filled words, and the universe, created with laws that obey divine principle, cannot resist a voice spoken with authority. When you understand this, you will never pray the same way again. You will no longer ask timidly for a miracle. You will rise and declare the miracle into existence, because God has given you the power to call things that are not as though they already are. Many believers fail to see results because they are comfortable in their position of asking. They have been conditioned to plead, to hope, to wish, to wait indefinitely, and yet they are surprised when nothing changes. The moment you step into commanding faith, you step out of fear and step into dominion. You no longer wait for someone or something to intervene. You begin to speak to your circumstances, to your finances, to your health, to your opportunities, to your destiny, and command them to align with the promises of God. Commanding is an act of faith that carries confidence and expectation. It is not about arrogance or demanding something from God. It is about understanding the authority that has been freely given to you as a believer and exercising it in alignment with His Word. Your voice becomes a tool of change, your words become a catalyst for manifestation, and your declarations begin to produce fruit in the natural realm. When you embrace this truth, your life begins to transform. The timid prayers of scarcity are replaced with bold words of abundance. The whispered wishes of uncertainty are replaced with confident declarations of divine provision. Your prayers begin to have weight and effect, and the heavens respond. You no longer pray for small things. You pray with the understanding that the God who resides in you is greater than any obstacle. You understand that your words, when spoken in faith, have the power to rearrange circumstances, to shift situations, and to bring resources that were previously unseen. You will begin to pray with the expectation of victory, with the expectation of provision, and with the expectation that every word spoken will accomplish what it was sent to do. This is the life of commanding prayer, a life of authority, a life of bold faith, a life that moves from asking timidly to declaring confidently. When you embrace this, you will discover that the world responds not to those who ask timidly, but to those who command with authority, faith, and alignment with divine principles. Faith is powerful, but it must be paired with action and alignment to unlock the results you desire. Many believers spend their lives hoping for blessings, wishing for breakthroughs, and asking God to intervene, yet they never experience the fullness of what is possible. This is because they have not yet understood the principle of speaking abundance into their lives. The universe and the spiritual realm respond not only to prayer but to the authority of your declarations. The creative power God placed within you is not passive. It is active, dynamic, and able to bring into existence what has not yet appeared in your physical reality. Every word you speak carries energy, and when spoken in alignment with faith, those words have the capacity to shape your destiny. Speaking abundance is not just about financial gain. It is about releasing the divine potential within you and aligning yourself with the principles of provision that govern the kingdom. It is about recognizing that you are a conduit for blessings and that your tongue can call forth miracles that change the course of your life. When you understand the creative power in your speech, you begin to see that the words you declare are not empty. They are seeds, and like any seed, they will grow into fruit when planted with intention and watered with faith. Speaking abundance is the act of planting these seeds into the fertile ground of your mind, spirit, and heart. The universe responds to clarity, expectation, and authority. If you plant seeds of fear, lack, or doubt, your harvest will reflect scarcity. But when you plant seeds of abundance, confidence, and bold faith, your harvest will overflow. The words you speak shape your perception, influence your actions, and ultimately determine the reality that manifests around you. This is why it is not enough to think positively. Thinking without speaking leaves your power dormant. Your words carry the authority to transform thoughts into reality. When you speak with conviction, the spiritual realm responds, aligning opportunities, resources, and favor to match the declarations of your heart. Many people fail to experience abundance because they underestimate the power of their words. They pray timidly, half-heartedly, or only in private moments of desperation, and then wonder why change does not come. Speaking abundance is about intentionality. It is about declaring with clarity, consistency, and confidence the life you are meant to live. It is about recognizing that God has already provided the blueprint for your provision, and that your declarations activate the flow of resources that are already waiting for you. You are not creating out of nothing. You are activating what is already available through divine design. Every time you speak faith-filled words, you are commanding the universe to respond, and you are taking your place as a partner in the manifestation of God's promises. The creative power within you is a force that cannot be ignored, a force that is designed to bring heaven to earth in the areas of your life where you are willing to declare it. To speak abundance effectively, you must cultivate a mindset of expectation. Expectation is the bridge between faith and manifestation. Without expectation, your words remain powerless, floating in the air without direction. When you speak abundance, you speak as though what you are declaring is already present, even if it has not yet appeared physically. This is the principle of faith, calling things that are not as though they already exist. Expectation is the magnet that draws the unseen into your life, the invisible into the visible. When you combine expectation with authority, your declarations become unstoppable. You do not ask timidly, you command boldly. You do not hope uncertainly, you declare confidently. The spiritual realm responds to boldness, clarity, and unwavering faith, and your words become the instrument through which divine provision flows. Consistency is another critical factor in speaking abundance. One declaration is not enough. You must speak continuously, persistently, and with unwavering belief. Speak to your finances, your career, your opportunities, and your blessings daily. Speak with specificity, knowing that clarity magnifies authority. When you declare abundance, do not speak in vague terms or wishful thinking. Speak boldly, naming the blessings, the resources, and the outcomes you are positioning yourself to receive. As you do this, you build a pattern of faith that shapes your spiritual atmosphere. Your words carry momentum, and repetition strengthens the manifestation process. The universe begins to recognize the alignment of your spirit, your words, and your faith, and provision begins to flow where it has been delayed. Speaking abundance is not a suggestion. It is a declaration of authority, a command of faith, and a release of the power that has been placed within you to transform your reality. When you commit to speaking abundance, you also commit to recognizing opportunities. The words you speak create awareness in your spirit, enabling you to see paths, connections, and resources that were invisible before. Your declarations sharpen your spiritual senses, making you alert to the favor and provision that are aligned with your words. Speaking abundance is not passive. It is active engagement with the creative power of God, a partnership that positions you to receive more than you have ever imagined. It is a lifestyle, a spiritual discipline, and a declaration of your rightful authority as a believer to walk in supernatural provision. Your words are your tools, and when used correctly, they reshape your life, your circumstances, and your financial reality. Fear has no place in the life of a believer who understands the authority given to them. Yet, so many people allow fear, doubt, and hesitation to dominate their prayers, their declarations, and their actions. They approach God with timid requests, unsure if they will be heard, uncertain if they are worthy, and hesitant to expect anything beyond their current circumstances. This mindset limits the flow of divine provision and blocks the manifestation of blessings that are already available to them. To step into true abundance, one must replace fear. Filled requests with bold declarations that shift the spiritual atmosphere. Fear diminishes authority, it clouds faith, and it gives the enemy a foothold in areas where you should be walking in dominion. Boldness, on the other hand, releases power. Boldness positions you as a voice of faith that heaven cannot ignore. Bold declarations have the ability to command situations, open doors, and bring what is unseen into the visible realm. Fearful prayers whisper uncertainty, bold declarations roar expectation. When you speak with boldness, you are exercising the authority God placed within you. The moment you understand that you are not asking God to do something beyond his capacity, but rather aligning yourself with what he has already made available, your words carry weight. You are no longer pleading, you are commanding. You are no longer hoping, you are declaring. The universe, which was created by divine order and principle, responds to authority and confidence. When you speak boldly, opportunities that were previously hidden become visible, resources that were blocked begin to flow, and connections that were delayed suddenly appear. Bold declarations shift the atmosphere, break chains, and open doors. They move you from a position of waiting to a position of acting, from a place of scarcity to a place of abundance, and from hesitation to expectation. Every word you speak in bold faith carries power, and every declaration you make shapes the reality that manifests around you. Many people fail to grasp the importance of speaking boldly because they confuse humility with weakness. Humility does not mean timid prayer. Humility means recognizing your dependence on God while exercising the authority he has granted you. Boldness is not arrogance. It is the confident expression of faith. It is the understanding that God has placed within you the power to call things that are not as though they already exist. Fearful prayers limit your influence and delay the manifestation of blessings. Bold words, spoken in faith and alignment with divine principles, accelerate the fulfillment of God's promises. When you declare boldly, you are not dictating to God. You are positioning yourself to receive what he has already provided and aligning your actions, words, and faith with the flow of divine provision. Boldness activates spiritual laws and engages the creative power within you. The power of bold declaration is not limited to words alone. It transforms your mindset, your confidence, and your actions. When you speak boldly, you train your mind to see possibilities instead of obstacles. You begin to expect breakthrough rather than delay. Your eyes are open to opportunities that were invisible. Your ears are tuned to guidance that was previously unheard, and your heart is aligned with the flow of divine favor. Bold words create an environment in your life that attracts provision and repels limitation. They set in motion a chain reaction in the spiritual and natural realms, drawing resources, people, and circumstances toward you. Every bold declaration you make reinforces your identity as one who walks in authority, one who commands the spiritual realm, and one who expects the miraculous to manifest in everyday life. Fear-filled requests often come from a place of lack. They speak to limitations rather than possibilities. Bold declarations, however, come from a place of abundance. They speak as though the blessing is already present. They affirm the promises of God and acknowledge the power of his Spirit within you. When you declare boldly, you are shifting your energy from doubt to confidence, from hesitation to action, and from passivity to leadership over your own life. Bold words are magnetic. They attract alignment and provision. They communicate to the universe that you understand your authority, your potential, and your ability to receive what has been promised. Fear may whisper, "You cannot do this." But bold faith declares, "I can," because the God who lives in me is greater than any obstacle. Consistency in bold declarations is crucial. One bold word can initiate change, but repeated, confident declarations solidify authority and establish momentum. Daily speaking of what you intend to see, naming your blessings, commanding your financial provision, and expecting supernatural favor reinforces your faith and strengthens the manifestation process. Boldness is a spiritual discipline that transforms your inner world, reshapes your outer circumstances, and positions you to receive what others may never experience because they remain trapped in timid, fear-filled prayers. Each bold declaration breaks barriers, shifts the spiritual atmosphere, and accelerates the flow of divine resources. Your words are not powerless. They are tools of creation, instruments of change, and weapons of spiritual authority, capable of producing results far beyond what fear-filled requests could ever achieve. When you understand the authority you carry as a believer, you realize that wealth, opportunities, and resources are not distant or unattainable. They are responding to your words, your faith, and your alignment with divine principles. Many people pray for financial provision, for breakthrough, and for favor, yet they wait passively, hoping that opportunities will somehow find them. The truth is, the universe and the spiritual realm are designed to respond to declarations, to commands, and to authority, not to passive wishes. Commanding wealth and resources to locate you is an exercise of spiritual authority that shifts your life from waiting to receiving, from limitation to abundance, from uncertainty to confidence. It is the understanding that God has placed a power within you to call things into existence, to move mountains, and to attract resources that are already aligned with your purpose and your destiny. You are not waiting for chance. You are activating divine principles that govern the flow of provision, using your voice, your faith, and your authority as instruments of manifestation. When you command wealth and opportunities, you are speaking directly to the spiritual laws that govern creation. You are no longer a passive participant hoping for provision. You are a dynamic force calling forth what is already available. Resources are not neutral. They respond to the vibration of faith, to the clarity of your declarations, and to the consistency of your words. Every person who walks in authority over their circumstances understands that speaking is not just a method of communication. It is a tool of creation. The words you declare act as magnets, drawing favor, connections, and provision toward you. Opportunities that were once invisible or delayed suddenly become accessible. Doors that seemed closed are opened, and networks, partnerships, and financial flow align with the words you boldly speak. Commanding your resources is about understanding that your voice has power, and your declarations are the key to unlocking what has been reserved for you. Many fail to experience this flow because they approach life passively, waiting for someone else to provide, for timing to be perfect, or for luck to intervene. Waiting is the enemy of manifestation. When you understand that your words carry authority, you no longer wait. You declare. You speak to situations, to finances, to opportunities, and to people, commanding alignment with the blessings that God has already prepared for you. Speaking without authority leaves your prayers dormant, while speaking with authority activates spiritual laws, calling resources from every direction to respond. The universe itself cannot resist words spoken with confident expectation. When you declare wealth and opportunities, you are shifting the spiritual atmosphere, removing barriers, and releasing provision that has been waiting for someone bold enough to command it. To command resources effectively, you must first understand that there is no limitation in God's supply. Resources exist in abundance, and there is more than enough to meet every need, fulfill every purpose, and provide for every calling. Limitation exists only when faith is absent, or when words are timid and uncertain. Every declaration of abundance, every command for resources, and every expectation of provision is a seed planted into the spiritual atmosphere. When you speak boldly with clarity and faith, these seeds grow into tangible results, manifested in financial breakthroughs, business growth, opportunities for advancement, and unexpected favor. Your words are not merely symbolic, they are activating agents that bring spiritual resources into the natural realm. You are not asking for permission, you are aligning with the law of divine provision and commanding its flow into your life. Consistency and specificity in your declarations are essential. General prayers such as "Lord, provide for me" are not enough to move mountains. Commanding requires clarity, detail, and repetition. Speak specifically to the resources you need, the opportunities you desire, and the favor you expect. Declare the doors that should open, the connections that should be made, and the financial flow that should arrive. Your words carry momentum, and repeated, intentional declarations build authority and expectation. The universe responds to consistency, authority, and clarity. As you continue to speak, your environment begins to shift, your awareness of opportunities increases, and divine connections appear that align with your declarations. You begin to see tangible results as a direct response to the authority of your words, the boldness of your declarations, and the consistency of your faith. Commanding resources also requires a mindset of alignment. You cannot call in provision while doubting, fearing, or expecting lack. Faith and expectation are inseparable from the act of commanding. You must believe that what you command is already on its way, even if it has not yet manifested physically. Every declaration must be accompanied by trust, confidence, and a refusal to allow doubt to interfere. This alignment ensures that your words are effective, your commands are obeyed, and your life experiences the overflow that comes from speaking with spiritual authority. Resources, opportunities, and financial blessings respond to alignment, expectation, and authority. The moment you begin to command your provision, you are no longer a passive observer in your life. You are a participant in the miraculous flow of abundance that has been prepared for you. Your words are more powerful than you realize. Every sentence you speak carries energy, authority, and influence over the circumstances of your life. When it comes to your financial future, the way you speak determines whether you remain in a cycle of lack or step into a cycle of abundance. Many people unknowingly limit themselves by speaking from a place of doubt, fear, or uncertainty. They whisper their prayers, quietly hope for change, and tiptoe around the reality of their potential. But the truth is that God has placed within you a voice that carries authority. You are not called to pray timidly or wait passively for opportunities to fall into your lap. You are called to speak with boldness, to command situations, and to declare provision as though it has already been released. Speaking to your financial future with dominion is the act of stepping into the identity of abundance, claiming the authority that God has given you, and positioning yourself to receive what has been promised. Speaking with authority means understanding that your words are creative. Every declaration you make shapes your environment, your perception, and ultimately the outcomes you experience. If you speak limitation, scarcity, or fear, you reinforce those realities. If you speak abundance, provision, and opportunity, you are activating the spiritual laws that bring those words to life. Your words are seeds, and the harvest you reap is determined by the seeds you plant. The universe responds to clarity, consistency, and authority. It does not respond to wishful thinking, uncertainty, or timid requests. When you declare your financial future with dominion, you are planting seeds that are aligned with your purpose and the promises of God. You are no longer waiting for the world to change for you. You are speaking into existence the reality you intend to live in. This is not arrogance. This is alignment with the divine principle that what you speak in faith, according to God's design, must manifest. Many people fail to experience abundance because they lack consistency in their declarations. One or two words spoken in faith are not enough to shift the spiritual and natural realms. Speaking with dominion requires repetition, clarity, and unwavering expectation. You must declare daily, naming the blessings, resources, and opportunities you intend to receive. Specificity matters. Saying, "I will be blessed financially," is a start, but speaking in detail, "I command $100,000,000,000 to flow into my life through divine connections, strategic opportunities, and unexpected sources," carries far greater authority. Your words create a spiritual blueprint that the universe aligns with. The more consistently you speak with clarity and faith, the stronger the momentum, the more powerful the manifestation, and the more visible the results become. Speaking with dominion transforms your mindset, reshapes your environment, and positions you to receive what was previously inaccessible. The mindset behind speaking with authority is just as important as the words themselves. You cannot declare abundance while harboring doubt, fear, or limitation in your heart. Faith must accompany every word. Expectation is the bridge between declaration and manifestation. When you speak with authority, you are not asking whether it will happen. You are declaring that it will happen because the principles of divine provision are already in place. You are speaking to align the spiritual with the natural, to activate resources, opportunities, and favor that are already available. Speaking dominion over your financial future is a spiritual act of alignment, demonstrating that you understand your identity as a co-creator with God, a steward of provision, and a recipient of abundance. Bold declarations also open your spiritual senses to opportunities. When you command your financial future, your awareness of possibilities sharpens. Doors that were invisible suddenly appear, connections and networks reveal themselves, and ideas that were previously hidden become clear. Your words act as magnets, drawing provision to you from multiple directions. Speaking with dominion is not passive. It is active engagement with the creative power that God has placed within you. Every word strengthens your faith, reinforces your authority, and positions you to receive more than you imagined. It is the practice of activating unseen resources and turning them into visible results. This is how financial breakthroughs occur, not by chance, but by deliberate declaration and alignment with divine principles. Fear, doubt, and hesitation are the enemies of dominion. They dilute the power of your words and delay the manifestation of blessings. Speaking with authority requires courage, confidence, and unwavering belief. It requires understanding that limitation exists only when you speak it into your life, and abundance exists when you declare it with clarity and faith. By speaking to your financial future with dominion, you are taking responsibility for your life, asserting your authority, and positioning yourself to receive provision in ways that surpass human understanding. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are commanding them to align with the promises that God has placed within your reach. The moment you understand that your words and declarations have authority, you step into a level of faith that moves mountains and calls the unseen into the visible. Many believers spend their lives hoping, wishing, and asking, yet they do not grasp that they have been given the power to command the supernatural into their daily lives. God has placed within you a spirit of dominion, a voice of authority, and the ability to speak to situations, circumstances, and even the forces of the universe. The act of commanding is not about arrogance or demanding from God. It is about stepping into the authority that has already been granted to you and aligning yourself with the spiritual laws that govern provision, favor, and abundance. When you pray with authority, you are no longer passive. You are not waiting for miracles to fall into your lap. You are actively engaging with the creative power God has placed inside you to bring the promises of your life into manifestation. Commanding your blessings requires boldness and clarity. Many people ask for provision timidly, uncertain if it will come, and hesitant to expect anything beyond their current circumstances. These timid prayers often go unheard in the spiritual atmosphere because they lack authority and expectation. Bold declarations, however, penetrate the spiritual realm, shift the atmosphere, and open doors that were previously closed. Speaking with authority means using your words as instruments of creation, calling into existence what has not yet appeared, and aligning your life with the promises that God has already placed in store for you. Every command, every declaration, and every bold word activates spiritual principles, sets unseen forces in motion, and positions you to receive provision, favor, and abundance in ways that surpass natural understanding. This is the difference between asking and commanding. Asking waits, commanding moves, and commanding aligns you with divine destiny. To command effectively, you must cultivate a mindset of expectation and faith. Expectation is not simply hope. It is a confident certainty that what you speak will manifest. When you command, you declare as though the blessing, opportunity, or financial provision is already present, even if it has not yet appeared in your natural reality. This is the principle of faith, calling things that are not as though they already exist. When your mind, heart, and spirit are aligned with this principle, your words carry power, your faith becomes active, and the spiritual realm responds. Commanding requires you to believe in the authority you have been given, to trust that God's provision is limitless, and to understand that your declarations have the power to rearrange circumstances, remove obstacles, and attract resources that were previously unseen. Every word spoken with faith becomes a magnet for alignment, favor, and supernatural acceleration. Many believers fail to experience the fullness of their blessings because they speak from a position of doubt, fear, or limitation. They ask for resources, opportunities, or breakthroughs as though they might not be granted, and their uncertainty diminishes the power of their prayers. To command effectively, you must rise above fear and speak with unwavering confidence. Boldness activates authority. Every declaration, every spoken command, and every confident word releases spiritual forces into motion. These forces work to open doors, shift situations, and bring provision from every possible source. When you command with clarity, your words carry momentum, your faith strengthens, and the universe responds to your spiritual authority. This is how breakthroughs occur, how financial favor flows, and how divine connections are activated. Consistency is key when commanding blessings. One declaration is not enough. Repetition, focus, and unwavering expectation are required to establish authority and reinforce your declarations. Commanding your provision requires daily engagement, intentional focus, and a refusal to allow doubt or delay to take root in your mind. The more you speak with authority, the more the spiritual and natural realms align with your words, and the more tangible the results become. Specificity amplifies power. Command exactly what you desire. Declare the resources, the opportunities, and the favor you intend to receive. When you combine specificity with boldness and expectation, your words become instruments of manifestation that cannot be ignored by heaven or the universe. Commanding also reshapes your perception and heightens your awareness. When you declare your blessings, your spiritual senses are sharpened. You begin to see opportunities, connections, and solutions that were previously hidden. Your awareness aligns with your declarations, and you are positioned to act upon the resources, people, and circumstances that respond to your authority. Commanding is an active engagement with the creative power God has placed within you. It moves you from a passive recipient to a deliberate creator of your own reality, allowing you to walk in the supernatural provision, favor, and abundance that have been waiting for your voice to release them. The act of commanding is not only about receiving blessings, it is about stepping fully into your identity as a child of God with authority over your circumstances. Every command you make, every bold declaration you speak, and every word you release in faith positions you to live a life of dominion. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are activating the principles of provision, aligning yourself with divine timing, and calling forth resources from every direction. Commanding is the expression of faith in action, the manifestation of spiritual authority, and the pathway to unlocking supernatural abundance in every area of your life.